Good evening. In tonight's story, we run across one of the boldest and most dastardly murders in my memory. It's a murder on a speeding train, and among our suspects are included a giant, a trapeze artist, and a fortune teller. I call it The Adventure of the Circus Train.
It'll be good to get back to New York. Ellery, got our tickets?
Yes, Dad. Oh, who's this?
I'm the station master. May I see your tickets?
Well, what's wrong?
I'm sorry, Mr. Queen. The Army's requisitioned all available space on this train. Your reservations, along with those of your father, Inspector Queen, and your secretary, Miss NIKKI Porter, have been canceled.
Oh, dear.
Well, how about the next train, Station Master?
Well, the earliest accommodations available are in the special section of the 11:59 tonight, Mr. Queen. It has 3 compartments left.
We'll take them.
I'd better tell you about it first, sir. That section's carrying Marco's Mammoth Show, the Midwest Circus outfit.
Oh, that ought to be fun.
You mean we have to travel with tigers and elephants and get sawdust in our hair?
Not quite, miss. Your accommodations would be in the end car. It's an old compartment car with a small lounge and a bar at the rear. Mr. Marco himself travels in that car, and his business manager, Mr. John Brady.
Well, we certainly don't object to traveling with Mr. Marco and Mr. Brady, Station Master.
But they're not the only ones in that car, sir. There's Goliath. He's 8 feet tall.
Goliath? The circus giant?
Yes, miss. Then there's Lady Pinky, the trapeze artist. And Madame ZARA. She's a circus fortune teller. They're nice folks. Been with Marco's circus a long time. But I thought I better tell you.
Well, we don't mind a bit, Station Master.
Okay, Mr. Queen, I'll fix it. Ought to be an interesting trip.
My, this lounge back here is awfully cozy, Ellery.
Mr. Marco, I hope we're not putting you out in any way.
Oh, can't expect normal conditions in wartime, Inspector. Edward? Yes, sir? Edward, set him up. Yes, sir. We're having a little celebration, folks.
Oh, in that case, maybe we ought to get out of the lounge and go to our compartments, Mr. Marco.
Yes, we don't want to spoil any plans you have.
No, I won't hear of it. Be mighty proud if you'd all join me, in fact. Oh, John? Folks, meet John Brady, my business manager.
Howdy, folks.
Oh, hey there.
And this is Long Joe Stebbins, professionally known as Mr. Goliath. Howdy.
Oh,
Hello.
how are you, Mr. Goliath?
Let's see, Madam ZARA, the smartest crystal gazer under the big top.
How do you do?
Hello.
And Lady Pinky, 44 years old and still swinging above us all.
Any friend of Marco's is a friend of ours.
Oh.
Actually, you have a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Well, you three must be wondering what all this is about.
Yeah. We are.
Well, as you know, I have been in show business over 50 years. Mark Marco's getting too old to run a circus.
Oh,
No, I know, but I am. Needs younger blood. So, I've just sold Marco's Mammoth Show to John Brady here. Well, John, here's your bill of sale, whole works, signed, sealed, and delivered.
Well, thanks, Mark. And here's my advance payment in cash. $30,000.
Much appreciated, thank you.
My thunder, Goliath. Will you look at that? 3 $10,000 bills.
I never seen so much money.
Money means trouble. I smell trouble.
I smell an Indiana farm and rest for my old bones, Zara. Well, folks, drink up, drink up.
To your good health, Mr. Marco.
Oh, thank you.
Well, it's getting pretty late. How's about we hit the hay?
I suppose we may as well.
What's bothering you, Ellery? Why'd you want to come out here on the front platform of the car?
To clear my head, Dad. There was an atmosphere in the lounge I didn't like.
You mean the eager expressions of all the performers?
Oh, that's only natural, son. These circus people don't see 3 $10,000 bills every day.
Not only circus people.
Gentlemen,
What's the matter, Porter?
well, I was just cleaning up the bar in the lounge, sir, and
Yes?
I get the bell signal from Mr. Marco's compartment, and I rang his bell, and there was no answer. I tried the door; it was unlocked. I opened the door, and I saw.
Speak up, Edward.
I saw.
A man scared to death, Dad. Let's go see for ourselves. Here's Mr. Marco's compartment. Dad, look!
Marco.
His head.
Bashed in.
Murder.
But Inspector, how did this happen?
That's what we've got to figure out, Nikki. We were standing on the front platform from the time the party in the lounge here broke up. And we know no one from the forward cars came into our car or left it.
And the two conductors were sitting at the end of the lounge near the platform. And they both say no one got into the car through the back.
So, Mr. Marco must have been murdered by someone in his car. But who? Which one?
The two conductors alibi each other, and they alibi the porter.
So the killer must be one of the 4 circus people.
That nice old man. Why?
It must be someone who was there when Brady handed Marco 3 $10,000 bills.
And they're not in his wallet now or anywhere in Marco's compartment.
Killer probably rapped on Marco's door. Marco let him in.
Visitor assaulted the old man, stole the money, and left Marco for dead.
But he didn't die right off. He managed to reach the porter's bell and ring it before dying.
What was the weapon, Inspector?
A man's shoe.
What?
Yes, a shoe.
A man's shoe, size 22, Nikki.
Size 22? But a shoe that size, it must be the giants. Goliath must have killed Mr. Marco.
And used his own shoe and left it in Marco's room for us to find? No killer would be so simple-minded, Nikki. The big boy's being framed.
Only question is, by who?
Well, Dad, we better start asking questions.
Yes. Edward,
Yes, sir?
call them out of their compartments one at a time. While we're tackling each one, you search his compartment for that dough.
Okay, Inspector.
Well, son, this case is a cinch. Marco was killed for the 30 grand. So when we find the cash, we find the killer. Oh, Mr. Goliath. Sorry we had to wake you.
What time is it? For crimini's sake.
Ellery, he's hobbling.
You'd hobble too, Nikki, if you were wearing only one shoe.
How come you only got on one shoe, Mr. Goliath?
Oh, damned if I know, Inspector. I went to bed and I put my shoes in that little do-jigger on the floor at the compartment. It's Sort of a closet, that the porter can open from the outside and take out your shoes and shine them during the night.
Yeah?
Well, sir, I looked for my shoes in that shoe thing, and doggone if somebody hadn't stole one of my shoes. What am I going to do? It's the only pair I got.
We hit Pittsburgh in the morning, Mr. Goliath, so we'll send out for a pair of shoes for you then.
There ain't a shoe store in Pittsburgh or anywhere else carries size 22. Oh, Inspector, what did you want me here for?
Come into Marco's room, Goliath, and I'll show you.
Well, where's Mr. Marco, Inspector? What's under that piece of newspaper?
This?
Mm-hmm.
Your shoe, Mr. Goliath.
Oh, I'll be. What's blood doing all over it? What's under that blanket?
Mr. Marco. He was murdered tonight with your shoe.
Murdered?
Ellery, revive Mr. Goliath. And Nikki, call John Brady in here.
Here's Mr. Brady. Ellery. He's hobbling too.
That's right. I found 2 shoes in it, all right. Oh, one of them's a woman. Here, look. Hey, what's going on? Mark, you in there?
Just a moment, Mr. Brady. Nikki, is this the woman's shoe Mr. Brady just found in the shoe receptacle yours?
No, Inspector. Must be Madame Zara's.
Nikki, you better go fetch that ZARA woman.
All right.
Suppose you go in now, Mr. Brady, and see Mr. Marco.
I don't get all this. Marco, Mark, but who? Why?
The $30,000 you handed Marco tonight, Mr. Brady. That's why.
Inspector, Madame Zara's hopping mad about her shoe. And I mean hopping.
I don't care for these jokes, if you please, Mr. Brady. Mr. Brady, is this your shoe? I just found it in my shoe compartment, and one of mine is gone.
Let me see. Yes, Zara. That's my shoe, and here's yours.
Thank you. What was I awakened in the middle of the night? Has anything happened to Mr. Marco?
Why do you ask that, Madame Zara?
Yes, of course. Mr. Marco is lying under the blanket. He's dead, isn't he?
Yes, Madame Zara.
I should have warned him.
You knew Marco was going to be knocked off?
Before retiring, I looked into my crystal ball. It never lies. I saw an old man lying there, dead. Now I realize it was Mr. Marco, an old man with blood on his head.
Oh, don't mind her. She always talks like this.
You saw this in your crystal ball, you say?
With blood on his head.
Did you also see Marco's murderer in your magic ball, Madame Zara?
No, but I could.
Really?
If the conditions were right. Yes, Mr. Queen.
Oh, cut that out. Seeing murderers in a hunk of glass. Zara, go back to your room. You too, Mr. Brady.
Very well, Inspector.
Oh, this is terrible.
Crystal ball. Where's Edward? Why in the name of Houdini isn't he back with my 30 grand?
Haven't you forgotten someone, Inspector?
Who, Nikki?
Lady Pinky.
Oh, trapeze artist couldn't have done it. She's too tiny.
She could have stood on something, Dad, and that big heavy shoe would have been a murder's weapon, even in the hands of a child.
Mr. Marco? Well, what's all the excitement about?
It's Lady Pinky. Hello.
What's going on? Why is everyone rushing around like crazy?
It's an unusual trip, Lady Pinky. By the way, anybody swipe your shoes?
My shoes? What would anybody want with my shoes?
Mr. Marco's been murdered.
Mr. Marco? Murdered? Murdered?
Oh dear, she's crying.
Edward. Well, where'd you find the money?
I didn't find it, Inspector.
You didn't. At the next stop, wire Pittsburgh to have some detectives waiting for us when we pull in tomorrow. What's keeping those Pittsburgh men still searching after 10 hours? That money must be in his car.
Dad, I've got it.
Where the money is, son?
No, I mean the explanation for the shoe mix-up.
Huh?
The killer wanted a weapon that couldn't be traced to him. So he stole one of Zara's shoes from her receptacle.
But realized it was too light as a weapon.
So he rifled Brady's shoe receptacle.
And then decided he wouldn't use either ones. He'd use Goliath's shoe. That would make a weapon. So he stole Goliath's shoe.
And in putting back Mr. Brady's and Madame Zara's,
He made a mistake and mixed them up.
Inspector Queen,
Huh? Oh, Goliath.
how much longer do I have to walk around in my socks? I want my shoe.
We're checking it for fingerprints, Mr. Goliath. You'll have it back by the time we reach New York.
Would you wash the blood off?
Sure, Mr. Goliath.
Thanks, Inspector.
Ellery, I've made up my mind. I'm arresting Zara.
Why Zara, Dad?
She knew Marco was dead. The only one who did. How could she have known unless she bumped him off?
Well, that is a puzzle how she knew. Dad, she claimed she might have seen the criminal in her crystal ball. Why not call her bluff?
let's see who she accuses.
That's an idea. Okay, we'll try it.
I have a hunch Madame Zara has something up her sleeve, and it isn't a crystal ball.
Madame Zara, why is it you people can't ever do anything in the light?
We consult other worlds. Light is a disturbance. I must have darkness.
Hocus pocus. Conductor,
Yes?
switch the lights off here in the lounge, but tell the conductors to have both ends of the car watched.
Yes, sir.
You will all join hands?
This is silly, Ellery.
She knows it's silly too, Nikki. Zara's trying to tell us something using the seance as a cloak.
There go the lights.
I must have quiet, or my crystal ball will tell me nothing. Come, appear, you who shed Marco's blood. Appear in the crystal of truth. Appear in the crystal of truth.
Ellery, it's getting a faint glow.
Phosphorus, Nikki. Quiet.
The one who spills the blood of old men. They take shape, a face. It comes out of the mist. In a moment now, I see them. The spiller of the blood is...
Madame Zara? What? Why do you stop?
Zara, Porter, turn on those lights.
Yes, sir.
Ellery, do you think she is? She's sitting so still.
Zara, come out of that now.
She's in one of her trances.
Oh, good. I thought she was dead, Mr. Brady.
Wake up, Zara!
Oh,
Thank goodness.
Whose face did you see in that thing?
oh, I must not tell you. Not yet.
No? And why not?
The time isn't right. Perhaps later.
Madame Zara, you're a first-class fake.
Fake? I'm not. I'm not going to stay around here and be insulted.
All of you, back to your compartments.
Why'd you drag me out here in the first place? Back to my compartment.
Now that's that, Ellery. Oh, Edward. Well,
Those Pittsburgh guys went over this car 3 times. No dough.
How about the people?
Yeah, head to toe. Clothes, luggage, cigarettes. We even examined Zara's crystal ball. Oh, we searched the 2 conductors, too. No dough.
start all over again. I want that $30,000 before we reach New York.
Well, end of the line. Ellery, where do you suppose the stolen money is?
I can't imagine, Nikki. Poor Dad.
That must be the inspector's own squad waiting on the platform.
Now, is everybody here? Brady, Goliath, Pinky? Where's Madam Hocus Pocus, that Zara woman?
She isn't here, Inspector.
But she must know we're in. The train stopped.
What's she up to now?
Inspector!
Nikki, don't look.
Dead. Zara's been bumped off.
Head smashed in with her crystal ball.
Oh, who would have thought?
Oh, why, Madam Zara?
It's clear now. We wondered how Zara knew about Marco being dead. Don't you see? Zara must have spied on the murderer in the corridor last night. She must have seen the killer go into Marco's room with Goliath's shoe.
Then why didn't she tell?
Because she had her own axe to grind, Nikki. The seance was a veiled threat to the killer. She was warning them that she could give them away if she chose.
So that they'd split the 30 grand with her, but instead they split her head open.
Wait a minute. Of course. Now I see it. We've been blind.
Ellery?
Here's the way the case stacks up. We know the killer wanted a weapon that couldn't be traced to them. So what'd they pick? Somebody else's shoe. Mark that. Somebody else's shoe. So whatever shoe or shoes they stole last night belonged to innocent people, not to the murderer. Whose shoes were stolen last night? Madam Zara's. So she's innocent. Mr. Brady. So he's innocent. And finally, Goliath. So he's innocent. Who's left? Who could be the guilty man or woman? Only Lady Pinky. All right, Lady Pinky, where'd you hide the money?
But I didn't kill Mr. Marco.
Dad, haven't you left out one possibility?
What possibility, son?
That the murderer wanted you to think just what you do think? That the crime was committed by the one person whose shoe was not involved?
He deliberately involved all the shoes but Lady Pinky's.
They were framing her?
I'm afraid so, Dad. The big point of this case is one you made yourself repeatedly. That to find the killer, we had to find the money that he stole.
But we didn't find the money, son.
And why didn't we?
Because it wasn't in the car.
But it was in the car, Dad. It had to be.
Ellery, the car was practically demolished. Everybody and everything in it was searched.
That can't be, Dad, or the $30,000 would have been found. Obviously, then, one place was not searched. So that place is where the missing money must be.
What place? Where didn't we search?
Well, did you search the weapon, Porter?
The what?
The weapon that killed Marco?
Who'd ever think of searching for in the weapon?
Exactly. That's what the killer figured too. That we wouldn't dream the hiding place of the money was in the very shoe which bashed poor Marco's head in.
But Ellery, What good did that do him? How could he expect to get hold of the money again? The shoe was a murder weapon held by the police.
Therefore, Nikki, the murderer could only be one person. The owner of the shoe to whom it would eventually be returned.
Eventually, Goliath asked for his shoe even before we reached Penn Station, and I just gave it to him. Goliath, take that murder shoe off.
No. No, you're wrong. I didn't do it. No, I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Come
I
on,
didn't do
Brad,
it.
get the shoe.
It wasn't me. I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
And here they are.
The three $10,000 bills.
Clever crime, Goliath. Because who'd be foolish enough to use their own shoe as a murder weapon and then leave it behind to be found? You knew we'd believe you innocent. You knew we'd therefore return your shoe to you with the hidden money inside.
But there's one thing Goliath didn't know. He didn't know he was traveling with the great Detective Ellery.
And there, ladies and gentlemen, you have the solution to the mystery. I want to thank you all for joining me as armchair detectives this evening. Join us next time for our next Northland Radio Hour.
Thank you all for joining us. Please give a hand for Kim as Lady Pinky, Madonna as Inspector Queen, Ellen as Ellery Queen, Kim as Nikki Porter, Nick as Murderer and Murdered, I'm Katie playing Madam Zara, and the wonderful Susan on a lot of different parts, mostly including our wonderful sound effects. So thank you again for all coming, and feel free to stick around and chat, and we hope to see you at the next murder mystery.
Thank you.
Thanks.